Hi team, I hope you're all well. It is that time of year again when it's the Goodreads Choice Awards. I don't necessarily agree with some of their decisions. I do think it's a bit of a competition, a popularity contest, and I don't think that's particularly fair, but I always get excited to do this anyway. So we are going to be reacting today to the Goodreads Choice Awards live. Today is Wednesday. Not live. Well, kind of live. Live for me. Today is Wednesday and I haven't looked at these yet. So I'm a little bit nervous. I don't have too many predictions, I've got to be honest, but I am interested to see what's going on. I'm interested to see if middle graders come back. I'm interested to see if they've still got romantasy, fantasy and romance split in 3 different categories. I'm interested to see who is on these awards. I think there's going to be the usual suspects, but I also would like to see what newbies we have. I would like to see if there is quite some diversity in here, and I'm intrigued. And then I think I'm going to follow this up, not immediately, but I think I'm going to follow this up with a reading vlog. I just haven't decided yet what to do with said reading vlog. So I do need to make that decision and decide what exactly to do with this. But without further ado, let's make me small and let's put the Goodreads Choice Awards on screen for you. And let's have a look-see, shall we? Okay, so I've got myself ready to go with a screen recording, so let's start said screen recording and let's get straight into casting your vote on favourite book of the year. Let's go. Okay, so initially we've got the categories: fiction, historical fiction, mystery thriller, romance, romantasy, fantasy, so they have kept them split, sci-fi, horror, debut, audiobook, YA fantasy and sci-fi, YA fiction, non-fic, memoir, history and biography. No middle grade again this year. I think that's a mistake and I don't think it's fair. I don't read a lot of middle grade anymore, but I don't think it's particularly fair. So let's dive straight in, shall we? We're going to react to all of it, despite the fact that I don't read the fiction section, to be honest, and I don't read much YA these days. I don't read a lot of non-fiction. I do read some, but not a lot, and I don't tend to read a lot of memoirs or history and biography or historical fic. But we're going to react to it all anyway, see what we've got going on. So, fiction. Let's go in. Okay. I don't recognise any of these covers. I do recognise the Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie one. And I do know who Jojo Moyes is, but I don't recognise... Oh, Jason Mott. I've also read from something from Jason Mott this year as well. It was a novella. And Oaken Braithwaite, I also recognise the name of. Ian McEwan. I recognise that name, but I don't know who that is. But I don't recognise any of these books whatsoever. As we scroll down... Okay, My Friends by Frederick Bateman, I obviously recognise, and I do recognise Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, maybe. I recognise that as well. That has been very popular this year, so I'm not surprised to see that whatsoever. These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean looks like One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, who I am expecting to see on here in the romance category. Ellen Hildebrand, I'm aware of the author. I recognise the cover of Heart the Lover, and I think I recognise the cover of The 3 Lives of Kate Kay. So, fair, interesting selection. Not going to spend too much time on here because I haven't read any of these. Historical fic. I recognise Broken Country. That's the only one right here that I recognise. That Kristen Hamill book looks like a Kristen Hannah book. That's so weird. I thought that was Kristen Hannah for a minute. The First Witch of Boston, I recognise. I have that one on my Kindle. Atmosphere, I have on my shelves. So, not surprised to see Atmosphere on here, actually, but I have that one on my shelves. Anything else, don't recognise. So, those 2 are the only 2 that I actually have and would be interested in reading. Mystery and thriller. Okay, we're getting into categories I actually read from now. So, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney on my shelves. It's actually on my 10 before the end. Crash by Frida McFadden. Not surprised to see her here. The Intruder as well. She's got 2 in here. I do think that they need to make more of a conscious effort to not allow authors to have more than one book in a category. I don't think that's fair. I think that you are pushing out other people that could have an opportunity to be here. just to allow an author to have 2 books in the same category, I don't think is fair, just because they can churn out 4 books in a year. So The Crash has a 3.7 average with nearly 500,000 people reading it. And The Intruder has a 3.9 with 130,000. So I think they should have just put The Crash in and left it at that. They shouldn't be giving her 2 spots. I don't think that's fair. I don't read from Frida McFadden anymore. I tried The Boyfriend, didn't like it. I've read some other stuff from her. It was fine. I just can't be bothered to dig through. She's churning out so much. I can't be asked. So won't be continuing on with her. You Killed Me First by John Mars. I haven't read this one, but I have read from John Mars before and enjoyed. John Grimshaw's The Widow. We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. Heard really good things about this one this year, actually. And I would be intrigued about picking it up. 4.28 average over 58,000 ratings is incredible. Heartwood, I haven't heard of. Oh, hiker mysteriously disappears in the Appalachian Trails in Maine. Interesting. Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I have read. I loved that one. It was very, very good. Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I have. Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. I have. The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. I also have. The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. Haven't read. Haven't heard of. 2 Women Haunted by Their Sisters' Unsolved Disappearances band together in this captivating mystery. Nice, interesting. Vera Wong 2, not surprised. Gone Before Goodbye by Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben. I didn't know she'd written a book. Interesting. The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark, I am aware of. I'm interested in. Another Frida McFadden. So she's got 3 on here. That could be 2 more opportunities for 2 more mystery thriller authors. Is there anything I've read this year that I'm surprised not to see on here? We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. I'm sure is classed as a thriller, not a horror. So I'm surprised not to see that on here. Ruth Ware, I'm sure she's done a book this year, maybe. I'm surprised she's not on here. Megan Lally, her books I really enjoy. Why is she not on here? Make Me a Monster by Kaylin Bayron. Maybe more of a horror? I don't know. The Perfect Couple by Geneva Rose. Not surprised to see that on here. King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. I'm glad he's on here. The Impossible Fortune by Richard Osman. Not surprised to see that he is on here as well. So, disappointing that there is 3 Frida McFaddens. That's really fucking annoying. I don't think that's fair in the slightest, but alas. Off here, I have read 1. Fair. Romance. Okay, we're getting into it now. So, Beg, Borrow or Steal by Sarah Adams. Not surprised to see this on here. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I'm glad to see this on here. The Gingerbread Bakery, Laurie Gilmore. Not surprised. Love Range, Lauren Asher. Not surprised. Ali Hazelwood's Deep End. Not surprised. Tory Season by Bryn Weaver. Very glad to see this on here. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Not surprised. Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. Haven't read this one. Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. I'm glad she's on here. Not surprised to see her. The Favourites by Lane Fargo. I DNF'd. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, as I mentioned. Not surprised to see her on here. Abby Jimenez. Not surprised. Wild Side by Elsie Silver. If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. So glad to see this on here. It deserves to be here. King of Envy by Anna Huang. Not surprised. Silent Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. Okay, so Bryn's got 2 in here. Again, I don't think that's fair. Both books, actually I haven't read Tory Season yet, but Silent Sparrow, very, very good, gave it 5 stars. But I don't think it's fair to have both. Pick one. Just pick one. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Glad that's on here. Spiral by Bal Cabra. Story of My Life by Lucy Score. You know what? I feel like that's been on my shelves for so much longer than this year. Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. So she's got 2 on here as well. Again, 2 books that could have been taken off and somebody else could have had a spot. I don't see Paisley Hope on here anywhere, which is a shame. She's had a handful of books come out this year, so don't see her on here anywhere. That is a shame. Who else am I surprised not to see? I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surprising. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I'm surprised not to see... I'm surprised not to see Will and Pray by Ali Oleander. That is surp Who else have we got? Maybe Overdue by Stephanie Perkins. Are people not excited about her? Ashley Poston's new book. I'm surprised not to see that on here. I'm surprised not to see a single Catherine Cowles book on here, seeing as she's brought out an entire fucking series. I am surprised there's no Lindsay Kelk. I'm surprised there's no Hannah Grace. I'm surprised there's no Anne Liang. I don't know if she would come under YA, but surprised about that. Hannah Bonham Young. Lynn Painter, again, maybe YA. Maisie Eddins. Kate Golden, If Not For My Baby. I know that's been popular this year. As you can see, there's been many, many options, but I'm surprised not to see some of those on here. Again, you could have taken 2 of these books off, given them to 2 other people. But yeah, I am surprised at that. So from here, these 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So from this 20, I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've DNF'd once, that's 6, 7, 8... Oh no, sorry, 7 I'm still on because I haven't read Rewind It Back yet. So I've read 7 of them. Not great stars, but I've read 7. I mean, out of this many, there is one Spiral I wouldn't read anyway. I didn't really like the first one. So 1, 2 with King of Envy, I'm not reading that series. And Love Arranged by Lauren Asher, I'm not reading that series either. And Beg, Borrow, Steal, I'm not reading that series either. So there's 4 I wouldn't read anyway. So then from that 7, you are up to 11 out of 20. So it's not too bad. Romantasy, let's have a look at this mess, shall we? Silverly, amazing. Amazing. Yes, I agree. The Wrath of the Fallen by Amber V. Nicole is book 4 in the Gods and Monsters series. I DNF'd book 1. Immortal by Sulin Tan. Amazing. Direbound by Sable Sorensen. Congratulations. Accomplice to the Villain, book 3 in that series. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent, I've read that one. Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. On Wings of Blood by Briar Boland, I've recently DNF'd. I knew I was going to feel uncomfortable with some of these books. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. Congratulations to the author. Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. I haven't even heard of this, I don't think. Interesting. 3.98 average with just over 1,200 ratings. Interesting. Okay. Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, I have read. Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, I unhauled, I will not read. Same with The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, if you don't know why. They are Harry Potter fanfiction. They're Harry Potter fanfiction, and that's the reason why I'm not going to read them. Enchantra by Kaylee Smith, I have read, loved. Mate by Ali Hazelwood, not surprised to see that here. Alchemized by Senlin Yu, I am not surprised to see it here. I'm just annoyed about it, to be honest. I didn't think this was actually a romantasy, so I'm surprised to see it in this category at all, but I'm not surprised to see it on here. I'm just sad about it. Again, those 3 books could have been given to somebody else. So Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, not surprised. Compendium of Lost Tales, Emily Wilde, not surprised. Bonds of Hercules, not surprised. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, you go, girlfriend. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, not surprised. Anything I am surprised not to see on here. I'm surprised not to see A Curse Carved in Bone on here, but maybe it's just not done so well. Maybe I don't have an unpopular opinion on that book. I am surprised not to see... Maybe Heat of the Everflame, but did that come out this year? I don't know, by Penn Cole. See, the thing is, a lot of traditionally published romantasy, a lot of indie romantasy has been traditionally published this year, so I need to keep that in mind. I don't know if The Wolf King, when that was originally traditionally published, but that maybe I'm surprised not to see on here if it was this year. I'm surprised not to see Fallen Stars on here, actually. I know it's only just come out, but still, I'm surprised not to see maybe the second one, To Fear the Flames, on here. Surprised not to see Helen Shira on here, actually. with either Thorns and Fire or Silver and Smoke. I'm surprised about that situation. I'm surprised Nightshade isn't on here by Autumn Woods. I am surprised maybe at Enigma by Rooney, because I didn't love it, but it was fun. Surprised at that. Interesting. I've no doubt there's been a whole bunch of others that maybe should have made it to this list. So yeah, a bit mad about the Harry Potter fanfiction making it on this list, but out of these, what have I read? I have read Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I am partway through Diabound, but we won't count that. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent I've read. I've DNF'd on Wings of Blood. I've read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I've read Enchantra, Shield of Sparrows, Night and the Moth. I haven't yet read Onyx Storm, but I might be DNFing that series. So I've read the same amount from Romantasy as I have from Romance. The ones that I wouldn't read anyway, I wouldn't read Bond of Hercules because I haven't started that series. I wouldn't read Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales because I've DNF'd it anyway. The first one. Won't read Alchemized, won't read Rose and Chains, won't read The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, won't read The Accomplice to the Villain, won't read The Wrath and the Fallen. So there's another 7 there that I won't read, so that's 14. So I'm down to Immortal, Wild Reverence, Our Vicious Oath, Mate, and Onyx Storm. So 5 left, so which doesn't make sense, that's 19. What am I missing? Oh, Diabound. Because I'm partway through it. So yeah, there's 6 more that I would read on this list, essentially, is what I'm saying. So interesting. Yeah, I'm really annoyed that they keep repeating authors in the same category. I think that needs to be a rule from here on out. Fantasy. Let's have a look. See, I'm so out of the fantasy section, honestly. Red City by Marie Alou. Interesting. Is this a new series? Oh, it is. Nice. The Godfather meets the Magicians. Perfect for fans of V. Schwab. Interesting. Arif Kwang's Catabasis, not surprised to see her here at all. I am, however, surprised to see Brigands and Breadknives by Travis Baldry, because this book has only, as far as I'm aware, came out yesterday in the US and isn't even out yet in the UK. So that's interesting. I can't remember when the cutoff date is for Goodreads, but interesting. Resistance of Witches, haven't even heard of this. Historical fantasy debut set against the backdrop of World War II, where a witch's journey to find a book of unspeakable power before it lands in Nazi hands, stubborn, plain-spoken, and from an unimpressed something or other. Interesting. Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett, not surprised to see that on here at all. Hemlock and Silver by Kingfisher. The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber, not surprised to see her here. The Sirens by Amelia Hart, haven't heard of this one. Interesting. The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. I have seen this cover, that is a beautiful cover. The Society of Unknowable Objects by Gareth Brown, haven't heard of that. The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, not surprised to see that on here. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, not surprised by that one. King Sorrow by Joe Hill. I didn't know he'd written a fantasy, so interesting there. Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, not surprised to see that here. The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I actually thought that might have been in Romantasy, but interesting. I have this on my Kindle, and I've heard nothing but good things. A 4.46 average over almost 19,000 ratings is amazing. Bury Our Bones by V. Schwab, not surprised to see that here. Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yamboa. Kind of surprised to see that here, I'm not gonna lie. I gave that one 2 stars, wasn't a fan, and I haven't seen anyone love it, so that's interesting. Thief of Night by Holly Black, Strength of a Few by James Islington, not surprised to see that here. So from this list, I haven't read a goddamn thing. I do have Brigands and Breadknives though. I've got an early copy because I am on the tour for it at the end of the month. So, and I do have the Raven Scholar on my Kindle. I have Bury Our Bones on my shelves, but I have previously DNF'd it, so I don't know if I'm going to come back to that one. And I am interested in Hemlock and Silver. I think I've got a Drop of Corruption on my Kindle as well, maybe. I did read the first one and liked it, so, well, it was fine. Okay, sci-fi. I'm not up to date with my sci-fi this year either, so shock. The Dream Hotel. I feel like I might have recognised this cover. Maybe Kayla's read it or something. The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. Don't recognise this cover at all. Dark Matter meets Girl Interrupted. Spellbinding psychological thriller. About a young woman teetering between two realities. Interesting. The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich. Haven't heard of that. Death of the Author, I have heard of. This cover is beautiful. Automatic Noodle by Anna Lee Newitz. Me and Jade had this in Waterstones the other day in our hands. There was only one copy and we both really enjoyed the sound of it. So we were both like, we're going to whack that on our wish list. This sounds fantastic and I really do want to read it. The Merge by Grace Walker. Haven't heard of that. Sounds like it could be interesting though. I think we've been here before. Haven't heard of that one. These Memories Do Not Belong to Us. Haven't heard of this one either. Revenge of Cloud Atlas and the Power. The Shattering Peace by John Scalzi. I'm not surprised to see this author on here. Book 7 in a series. Salt Crop. Haven't heard of this one. Disillusion by Nicholas Binge. The Book of Lost Hours. Haven't heard of that one. Hammerjang Look. I have heard of this one. Oh, there's another John Scalzi again. Pick one. Luminous. Eiling Roll at the Compound. I've seen this one about, so I've heard of this one. The Memory Collectors, Local Heavens, Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shroud of Monster and Mainframes. I've heard of this one as well. So I think off this list, the ones I'd be interested in reading, Automatic Noodle. And off the top of my head, Automatic Noodle and Monsters of Mainframe, I think. But I'd look into Death of the Author, The Merge. I think I've been here before. I think I'd look into that as well. Yeah, I don't know. 2 of them are definitely on my radar though. Horror. Okay, this will be interesting. I read quite a few of these last year. But we'll see how many of them I've read this year. Okay, starting off strong. When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy, I gave it 5 stars. I DNF'd Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. The Lamb by Lucy Rose I haven't read, and I don't think I'm interested in doing so. Coffee Moon by Keith Rosson, on the other hand, though, I would be interested in reading this. I don't know what it's about, but I've heard good things. So I'm interested in that one. The Haunting of Payne's Hollow. I love this cover. Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. I'm interested in this one as well. Breathe In, Bleed Out. I really want to read this one. I believe it's like a slasher and it's on my wish list and has been for a while. How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. I've read 1 or 2 from Darcy Coates and not enjoyed them. So kind of don't really reach for Darcy's books anymore, but fair enough. We Love You Bunny by Mona Award. I DNF'd Bunny and I haven't heard incredible things about fans of Bunny reading this. So You Were Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White I recently just got in an Evernight box and I'm nervous about picking it up because I don't think it's going to be for me. Immaculate Conception by Ling Huang. Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm not surprised to see on here. I don't read from Stephen Graham Jones. I just don't get on along with his writing style. So The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia I've got on my Kindle. Not surprised to see Stephen King on here with Never Flinch. I think this is like book 4. Yeah, in the Holly series. The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I'm not surprised to see on here at all. Hunger Stone by Kat Dunn. Not surprised to see that on here. I've got that on my Kindle as well. Bat Eater, I read, gave 5 stars. Chuck Tingle's Lucky Day, not surprised to see that. Rachel Harrison's Play Nice, I love that that's on here. I have this one. And What Hunger by Catherine Dang. So interesting. So out of these, I have read 1, I've DNF'd Grady Hendrix. So 2, 3. I've read 3, but I have 1, Play Nice, Hungerstone, 2, The Bewitching, 3, You Were Meant to Be Human, 4, I have actual access to, whether they be on my shelves or on my Kindle. So, interesting. Not read as many this year as I did last year, despite the fact that I think I've read a lot more horror this year than I did last year. So that's interesting. Debut novel. Okay, Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle. Haven't heard of this. Oh, Interesting. What if you could have one last meal with someone you've loved, someone you've lost, combining the magic of Under the Whispering Door with high-stakes culinary world of Sweet Bitter? Fair. Haven't heard of that before, but interesting. Woodworking by Emily St. James. I feel like I've seen this cover. A trans high school teacher from a small town in South Dakota who befriends the only trans woman she knows, one of her students. Interesting. A Resistance of Witches. Have we already seen this? Yeah, I think we have, right? In fantasy? Yes, we have. The Eights by Joanna Miller. Haven't heard of this. Loved One. I feel like I've seen this cover. Maybe? Finding Grace. Haven't heard of this. The Original Daughter. Haven't heard of this. Oh, Singapore. The Merge we've seen as well. The Family Matter. Haven't heard of that. When the Tides Held the Moon. That cover's really pretty. Lush illustrations and buoyant prose. What does that mean? I want the illustrations. What does buoyant prose means? The Irish Goodbye. Haven't heard of this. I do know what an Irish Goodbye is, though. The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. Not heard of that one. Homeseeking we have seen before in historical fic, maybe. The Names. The Correspondent we've seen before. The Witch's Orchard. Ninth generation Appalachian herself. Archer Sullivan brings the mountain of North Dakota to life in The Witch's Orchard. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'd be interested in reading that one. Dominion. I haven't seen that one before. Junie. I don't know if we've seen that on here before. The Lilac People. Alchemized. Again. Interesting. Okay. Fair enough. Audiobook. Alchemized again is in 3 categories. The Correspondent is in 3 categories, so okay. Tina Knowles Matriarch. Onyx Storm is in here again. Tourist Season is in here again. Nice. The Let Them Theory. Really? We're going to do that? For what fucking reason? It's bad enough that there's 3 fan fictions in the fucking romantasy category. What is the matter with these people? The next conversation. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Move on to the next conversation. Awake by Jen Hatman. Broken Country, we've seen that one before. Nobody's Girl. We Are All Guilty Here. Have we seen that one before? By Karen Slaughter. Yeah, I think we saw it in Mystery Thriller, right? Pride and Prejudice. My Friends by Frederick Batman. We've seen that one before. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. We've seen that one before. King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. We've seen that one before. Sister Wife. Atmosphere we've seen before. Great Big Beautiful Life we've seen before. 107 Days. Kamala Harris. Interesting. Okay. I think from this section I would want to go for Tory Season. Maybe We're All Guilty Here. King of Ashes. Atmosphere. I've only read Great Big Beautiful Life off this list. So, interesting. YA, fantasy and sci-fi. Let's see how much of this I've read. Every Spiral Fate by Tara Maffey. No, I haven't read this one. This is like book 4 in the Woven Kingdom series, which I DNF'd. Never Ever After by Sulin Tan. I haven't read. The Rose Bargain by Sarah Payton Smith. I have this on my Kindle, but I can't remember if I'm probably wrong with this and gotten confused with something else. But I thought that this was also fanfic, but maybe it's not. I could be entirely wrong with that, so don't take my word at it. The Floating World by Axio. I'm interested in this one, to be fair. Our Infinite Fates by Lauren Stephen. I've heard incredible things about and it's on my Kindle. I'm very excited to read. A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. Romantic fantasy inspired by Beauty and the Beast. Samuel. Hecate, The Witch by Nikita Gill. Greek myth. I don't read Greek mythology. The Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. Interesting. Breath of a Dragon by Shannon Lee and Fonda Lee. Interesting. I didn't know Fonda Lee had done a YA. Heavenly Tyrant by Kieran J. Zhao. I need to read this one because I loved Iron Widow. The House Sapphire by Marissa Mayer. A Language of Dragons. I feel like I have seen this, but a different cover. I know this book. Is it like a red cover, maybe? Oathbound by Tracy Dion. Nice. The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. I've read this one. Watch Me by Tahira Mafi. Not surprised. Sunrise on the Reaping. Not surprised. The Other Post by Emily J. Taylor. Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews. So happy for them. Congratulations. That's incredible. I have read and enjoyed that one. Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. I was wondering if that was going to pop up. I have that on my shelves. So from here, I've read Hazelthorn. I've read Rebel Witch. That's the only two I've read. But on my radar, The Rose Bargain, Our Infinite Fates, now A Forgery of Fate, Oathbound, Sunrise on the Reaping is on my shelves as well, and Immortal Consequences. So I do have quite a few on here that is from the YA, fantasy and sci-fi selection. So interesting. YA fiction. Wish You Were Here by Elle McNichol. Amazing. Congratulations. I really enjoyed that book. Under the Same Stars by Libba Bray. Didn't know Libba Bray had come out with a new book. We Fell Apart by E. Lockhart. I Am Not Jessica Chen by Anne Liang. Okay, so I mentioned Anne Liang in the romance section earlier, so I'm glad to see Anne Liang here. I haven't read this one, but I have it. Say a Little Prayer by Jenna Voris. The Thrashers by Julie Soto. I want to read that one. Sisters in the Wind. I haven't heard of that. Needy Little Things I've got on my Kindle. The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. This looks like they both die at the end. Oh, okay. Fair enough. You Found Oliver by Dustin Thau. And They Were Roommates by Paige Powers. Yep. When Devils Sing. Why are they spending the first few lines telling me about it being a deluxe edition on Goodreads? I don't want to know that. Just give me a brief synopsis. Nobody in Particular by Sophie Gonzalez. Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. I've seen this one around. I didn't know it was YA though. Gilmore Girl meets Jenny Han. Nice. Oh, autumnal teen romance. That would give it away, right? Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. I mentioned Lynn Painter before. Dating and Dragons. I have the first one of this one. Dungeons and Drama on my Kindle. The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson. Glad to see her on here. Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Not surprised to see her on here. First Time for Everything by K.L. Wather. Not surprised to see them on here, to be honest. Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends by Tia Williams. I was wondering whether or not Tia Williams had come out with something this year, and I'd forgotten it was this. So this is also on my Kindle as well. So from here, I've read one, but I have I Am Not Jessica Chen, The Thrashers, Needy Little Things, The Scammers, and Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends, like immediately on my radar. So nice. Fake Skating I should probably put on as well by Lynn Painter. Okay, non-fiction. I don't read a great deal of non-fiction, but I have been reading some this year, so this will be interesting. No More Tears by The Dark Secrets of Johnson & Johnson. Oh. Okay. Fair enough. The Fort Bragg Cartel. Drug Trafficking and Murder in the Special Forces. Are You Mad at Me? Maybe. Cure for Chronic People Pleasing. Okay. Didn't need to be called out like that today. How rude. Replaceable You. Excuse you. Exploration of the quest to recreate the impossible complexities of human anatomy. Oh no, that's way too No. No. Is a River Alive? All right. Black in Blues. How a Colour Tells the Story of My People. The colour blue and its fascinating role in Black history and culture. Oh, interesting. You didn't hear this from me. Delightful, insightful exploration of our obsession with gossip. Fair enough. The Tragedy of True Crime. 4 guilty men in the stories that define us. In 2001, John L. Lennon killed a man on Brooklyn Street. Now he's a journalist. What? Working from behind bars. Pardon? Trying to make sense of it all. The tragedy of true crime is a first-person journalist account. That sounds well interesting, actually. I do have a little bit of an obsession with true crime, so that sounds really interesting, right up my street. The Book of Alchemy, a creative practice for an inspired life. Abundance, once in a generation paradigm shifting call to rethink big. That's too many big words for me in one sentence. I'm not doing that. One day everyone will have always been against this. Powerful reckoning with what it means to live on the heart of an empire which doesn't consider you fully human. Okay. And shittification. I've seen this cover around for sure. Is it about tech and stuff? Girl on Girl, how pop culture turned a generation of women against themselves. Early arts pop culture turned women and girls against each other and themselves with disastrous consequences. Interesting. Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I've seen this around. The 5 Types of Wealth. The Let Them Theory. That was in the audiobook category as well, I think. The Service Berry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. The New Age of Sexism, Murderland, Crime and Bloodlust in the Time of a Serial Killer. The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy, James Patterson and Vicky Ward. 4 innocent college students attending the University of Idaho. Oh, interesting. I'd probably want to watch a program on that first and then maybe read the book. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the one that I'm most interested on here is The Tragedy of True Crime, I think. Okay, Memoir. The Tell by Amy Griffin. I haven't heard of that. Semi-Well Adjusted by Alison Stoner. Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton. Things in Nature Merely Grow by Yin Lee. All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert. Share. The House of My Mother by Sherry Frank. Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy. Paper Girl by Beth Mackey. Joyride by Susan Orlean. Nobody's Girl. We've seen that earlier on. Audiobook maybe? Or debut. Awake by Jen Hatmaker. I feel like we've seen that as well. Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks. Oh, My Next Breath by Jeremy Renner. That I want to read, definitely. 107 Days by Camilla Harris was on audiobook. Big Dumb Eyes by Nate Bargatze. Tim Curry's Vagabond. Tina Knowles' Matriarch. That was also on audiobook. Careless People. Finding My Way by Malala Yousafzai. Yousafzai? My apologies. Okay, so I definitely want to read this one. This has been on my radar for a while, so I really want to read this one. Big Jeremy Renner fan, big Avengers fan. So yeah, history and biography, we're going to fly through this one because I don't really read out of this category. I might pick one that I'm interested in maybe. The Zorg, A Tale of Greed and Murder that inspired the abolition. How do you say that word? Oh my God. Abolition. To abolish. Of slavery. Sorry, got caught up. A Flower Travelled in My Blood. The incredible true story of the grandmothers who fought to find a stolen generation of children. Mark Twain. Baldwin, A Love Story. Original Sins. Lorne, A Man Who Invented Saturday Night Live. Propaganda Girls, The Secret War of the Women in the Ass. Oh, SS. Oh my God, I thought I said ass. The Cure for Women. Dr. Mary Portman Jacobi and the Challenge to Victorian Medicine that Changed Women's Life Forever. Fair enough. King of Kings. The Iranian Revolution, a story of hubris, delusion and catastrophic miscalculation. Okay. A Marriage at Sea, a true story of love, obsession and shipwreck. How to Kill a Witch. This is on my radar. The Patriarchy's Guide to Silencing Women. Interesting. That's on my radar. Realm of Ice and Sea, Triumph, Tragedy and History's Greatest Arctic Rescue. Dark Renaissance. The Dangerous Times and Fatal Genius are Shakespeare's greatest rival. The Fate of the Day, The War for America, Fought something or other, some other stuff about revolution. We the People, A History of the US Constitution. The Devil Reached Towards the Sky, An Oral History of the Making and Unleashing of the Atomic Bomb. That could be interesting. Jane Austen's Bookshelf, A Rare Book Collector's Quest to Find the Women Writers Who Shaped a Legend. The JFK Conspiracy, Sisters in Science, and 1929, Inside the Great Crash in the Wall Street History and How It Shattered a Nation. Right. Yeah, How to Kill a Witch is the only one I would read off this list. So I think sometimes I forget that Goodreads is American, and therefore sometimes there'll be books on here that we can't get yet in the UK. Because they're not released yet in the UK, which is interesting to me. I think that there should be a few rules here. I think one of them, and it comes up every single year, one of them should be an author cannot be repeated in the same category. They can be repeated in different categories. For example, Ali Hazelwood in the romance category and romantasy category, because obviously May is romantasy, not just romance, but not in the same category. She's got 3 books across 2 categories. I don't think that's fair. I also think that they should take a good look at release dates throughout the world, not just the US, because the world is bigger than the US. So I think that they should take that into account as well. I don't think it's fair that there's books on here that we haven't even had the opportunity to read yet. And I think that, as always, there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more queer books on here. There needs to be more BIPOC authors on here. It would be nice to see a bit more diversity as well. I'm just surprised at some of the books that are not on here, in all honesty. Like, I am surprised. I'm not really in fantasy right now, to be honest. I think I might be shocked that there's not a Matt Dinnerman book on there, to be honest, in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised that if Brigands and Bread Knives is able to be on here, the Empire of the Dawn is not. That's an interesting one, because Empire of the Damned was on last year. So that is interesting indeed. I am surprised, was the Dark Mirror released this year by Shannon Chakraborty? I'm surprised that's not on here, if it was. What else am I surprised at? I wish that S.A. Barnes was on the sci-fi one, because S.A. Barnes came out with Cold Eternity this year. So I'm surprised that's not on sci-fi, other than the ones that I mentioned earlier. The thing is, I am clued up a little bit on new releases, but I always get confused then. We Used to Live Here by Sarah Pinborough. Why is this not on the thriller mystery category? I don't understand. That was a really good book. Well, I know why. Because Frida McFadden's got 3 fucking spots. So annoying. Make Me a Monster by Kaylin Bayron. Why have we not seen that on here? I'm really surprised. I thought that was going to be really popular. Is it not? I'm surprised it's not on here. Oh, The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. What the fuck? That book is so popular. How is that not on here? What the hell? Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. How is that not on here? How interesting. No Chloe Walsh this year. That's interesting as well. I would have thought that she'd have ended up with a spot. Jennifer Hartman's Dream On was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. That's not on here. Not to be seen at all. No Nevessa Allen, no Autumn Woods, no Ali Oleander, no Lila Sage, no Rue Nix, no Rena Kent. She's churning out books like nobody's business. No Catherine Cowles. No Paisley Hope. No, you can't put them all on, but come on. Really? Interesting. Well, I don't know what to say. As always, maybe slightly disappointing. Oh, I don't know what to say. I'm surprised. I'm surprised at how few I've read, considering I've read 218 books this year. So that's interesting. And my percentage is pretty high for 2025 releases as well. So yeah. Well, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. Do you think there are any other rules that Goodreads should probably bring into this? Alongside maybe some of the ones that I have mentioned. Do you think it's fair that authors can have multiple nominations in the same category? Because I absolutely do not think that's fair at all. I think it's shocking that Frida McFadden has got 3 books in the same category. I don't think it's fair that Ali Hazelwood and Bryn Weaver have got 2 books in the same category. So yeah, I don't think that is fair at all. Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. Again, that came out this year and no sign of it whatsoever. I haven't read it yet because I've only just read Honey and Spice, but that also, you know, Sweet Heat came out this year. Fair enough. I would like to follow this up with a video. I'm just not sure what to do yet. And I think I'm going to have a chat with patrons today maybe about it, or do a little poll somewhere maybe about what category to do. If I do pick a specific category, my options are basically to do a book from every category and force myself outside my comfort zone with some of these categories like fiction, historical fic, history and biography, non-fic, memoirs, etc. Or to pick a specific category like romance or romantasy or horror. Those would be my 3 that I would pick from, because there's no fucking way I'm reading 3 Frida McFaddens. But I would be picking and choosing within there. Obviously, anything that's partway through a series that I don't already read, I won't be reading. Again, romantasy, I will not be picking up the fan fiction. So I could do that as well. But then I'm like really reducing down my TBR that I would pick. Whereas like with picking 1 from each category, it would be 15 books. So yeah, I'm undecided on what to do with that. I'm not sure yet, but I will be making a decision today. This video will hopefully go up today as well. So yeah, my decision will probably already be made by the time it goes up. But if you wanted to let me know which you would prefer to see, that would be great in the comments down below. Chat to me in the comments. Is there anything you're surprised to see on here or surprised not to see on here? Anything you agree with that I've mentioned? Let me know. And I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.